Hey guys, welcome back to a Baldur's Gate 3 build video. Today we're going to be going over the Light Cleric Evocation Wizard, which is a bit of a nutty build, but it's a melee spellcaster that makes use of Light Cleric's great spell list, access to Warding Flare, Fireballs, Spirit Guardians, as well as a bit of Luminous Orb cheese, and it makes use of Evocation Wizard's Sculpt spells, so you can drop Fireballs in the melee with a heavy martial party, which is fantastic fun. This is the basic setup. This will be linked down in the description. It goes through your leveling process, as well as what feats to take when, what important spells to look out for, as well as what gear you should be really aiming for in the early, mid, and late game. This is probably, you can read this as Act 1, 2, and 3. Up in the top, we've got our starting stats. This is a bit of an interesting one. We're starting with Constitution is going to be our biggest at 17. What we're really trying to do is protect our concentration saving throws. So what we're going to do is we can take 17 Constitution, and level 4 we're going to take Resilient Con. What this is going to do is going to give us 18 Constitution and then give us proficiency with Con saving throws, which means that we probably go by late game have +9 to our saving throws, so nobody's ever going to break our concentration, alongside having a shield and a couple of other nice things. We've taken Strength to 10. It's just for a little bit of carry weight. Dex, we've taken 14 for +2 to initiative, as well as +2 AC when wearing medium. Medium is the highest armor you can wear as a light cleric, and it's what you're going to be wearing most of the game to get the Helldusk armor late game. And then we've just dumped intelligence and charisma, and then put 16 into wisma, which is wisdom. We put 16 into wisdom, which is our spellcasting modifier. We're going to up that to 18 later in the game. We're never going to make it to 20, so we need a couple of items along the way that help boost our spell DC, namely Nulcifer's Staff and the Cloak of Weave. Okay, as we go along, we're going to start off as a light cleric. We're going to level that all the way to 6. Most of the time, up to level 3, we're going to be basically beginning the Bless Bot and a little bit of Guiding Bolt damage, as well as using Command to CC and Healing Words to pick up any allies that are struggling. Level 2 will be much the same. Level 3 we get access to Spiritual Weapon and Scorching Ray. Scorching Ray does some nice damage, as well as the Fiery Orb, but that's concentration, so I don't know if I'll keep that. That we get your basic loot 1 to 3. Level 4 we get Resilient Constitution, which makes our saving throws really, really good. And then level 5 is where we start to come alive. Level 5 gets Spirit Guardians, and the value of Spirit Guardians cannot be understated. It's a fantastic spell, and you should use this at every opportunity to the maximum. If you pair this with Luminous Armor or Luminous Gloves, enemies get a -1 to hit, which is fantastic for keeping yourself alive. We switch it up though at level 7. At level 7, we respec and we go 5 Cleric, light still, and then we go 2 into Evocation Wizard. So we go 5-2. The good spells you want there is Shield. What you're getting from that is Sculpt spells. So at level 5 as a cleric, you gain access to Fireball. Fireball's fantastic. The issue is that if you drop that in melee on a bunch of martials, you're going to have a bad time. What Sculpt spells from Evocation 2 does for us is makes allies take no damage from Evocation spells, which includes Fireball. After that, we're then going to progress more into Wizard. We're going to take Wizard 3, which gives us second level spells. We're looking for Misty Step and Mirror Images here. Misty Step helps with your movement, and the Mirror Images gives you +3 AC. We then go 5-4. We take ability score improvement into +2 Wisdom, which takes us to 18. And then we end up with 5-5 at level 10. What we're really looking for here is Counter Spell. But we've also got access to the full Wizard spell list through Scrolls. And we eventually end up 7-5. 7 into Cleric and 5 into Wizard. Your basic gameplay loop for this is going to be running in with Spirit Guardians up and dropping Fireballs and using your Channel Divinity to do AoE damage. If you've got a heavy martial party, or you really like playing a martial party, you'll really be missing having a big spellcaster for AoE. Martials are really good at the single target burst, but they really lack the AoE damage, especially in fights with lots of small enemies. And this takes care of that problem, as well as bringing the possibility of some healing. So you could take Devotee Mace later, which it has a 10-turn heal, which is fantastic. But you could also just stick with Mel's First Staff until you get Markiplier's Staff at the end, because of the spell DC it gives you. Speaking of items, early game we want the Headband of Intelligence to set our intelligence to 17. This is so we can get additional wizard spell slots. Luminous Armor, which can be found in the first bit of the Underdark. You go through the temple. It's really, really nice. Gives you Radiant Orbs on targets through your Spirit Guardians, and is pretty good 15 AC medium armor. What we then want to pick up for our gloves is Hellrider's Pride. You could give these to, say, an Ancients Paladin. Ancients do really well with this because of their aura of healing that they get as their channel oath. We then really want Boots of Speed. Boots of Speed are fantastic. The click heals gives you a dash on a bonus action, as well as gives you freedom of movement, which is fantastic. But if you'd like healing, you could go Boots of Aid and Comfort. I think that Clerics are probably one of the, unless you're really building for it, one of the worst healers. All you really want to use healing for is getting people up off death saves as a Cleric, unless you're going life, and you could really lean into it. But even so, we did the math, and a 16 Charisma Ancients Paladin does more healing per turn than a life Cleric. For neck, we want to look out for Amulet of Restoration or Amulet of Misty Step. These don't add too much, other than this adds a mass healing word that you don't have to worry about. It doesn't use one of your spell slots, and it gives you a healing word, which leans in well with Hellrider's Pride, as well as the Boots of Aid and Comfort and Whispering Promise. Misty Step's just a fantastic spell. For rings, we want to look out for the Whispering Promise. That gives less or 1d4 to attack and spell rolls when you heal a target. And then Ring of Protection is really nice. It gives you +1 AC, and it gives you +1 to saving throws. Main hand, you can take anything you want to start with. Just hitting stuff with a mace, it's not going to do a whole lot. You probably want a light crossbow as your damage cantrip, as it were. For regular fights, about 1 to 3. But once you can get down to the Underdark, Mel's First Staff gives you +1 to your spell attack DC, to your spell DC. And then for shield, what we're looking for is Safeguard Shield, either from Danon in the Grove or the Shield of the Absolute. I forget the actual name. That drops from the Priestess in the Goblin Camp. That gives you +1 spell save, +1 saving throws, sorry. If you've got the Absolute brand, but that's what those do. They're really, really nice. And when you get into the mid game, you start to swap some stuff out if you think it adds more value. There's some nice options in here. Dwarven Splint Mail, for example, gives you +2 Constitution, which can be quite nice. That takes you up to 20 Con. You could then take the Vivacious Cloak, that's later in Act 2, or the Cloak of Protection, which is earlier, gives you +1 AC. But I'd still keep most of the same. And then you could sub out Mel's Staff for Blood of Lathander if you really want it. It's quite useful in Act 2 for blinding the ghost enemies. And once you get into the Underdark, I'd advise getting the Adamantine Shield, which you'll probably keep, because crits are really bad for maintaining concentration, and you'll have so much AC and so much damage negation that the real things that are going to hurt you are crits. And if they can't crit you, they can't do that. Late game, we then start to put in some really strong pieces, if we're not using them on anyone else, that is. So Cloak of the Weave's really nice. Helldusk Armor's fantastic. This will give you 23 AC in total with a shield on. We then swap in Luminous Gloves, so we still, if we're swapping out Luminous Armor for Helldusk Armor, we want to take Luminous Gloves, so we still have that -1 to hit from our Spirit Guardians. Then we take Boots of Persistence, because that gives you freedom of movement and a couple of other things. You could keep Boots of Speed. I don't see a massive issue with that. I've got Amulet of Greater Health here, which sets you to 23 Con and gives you advantage on Constitution saving throws, so it essentially gives you the Warcaster feat. That's quite late in the game. You probably want to keep Amulet of Misty Step or Amulet of Restoration till then. There is the Amulet of Divinity. I don't think it's as good as it could be, because it's quite late and it doesn't add as much, but it could also be a good alternative. And we actually keep the Whispering Promise, and then we slot in Ring of Regeneration. Ring of Regeneration is great, gives you 1d4 hit points per turn, which triggers the Whispering Promise on yourself. Then for main hand, we want to take either Devotee Mace if we need the healing, but we also take the Markiplier Staff for the spell save DC, as well as the spell slot generation it allows us, and we keep the Adamantine Shield. And I'll give you a more in-depth look at that in-game just now. I just wanted to give a massive thanks to Vexed Embers from the Larian Discord in the Baldur's Gate 3 builds, posed this to me. I thought it was a really good idea. It seemed a bit wacky at first. They went, "What do you feel? How do you feel about a light cleric evocation wizard?" And I went, "You're on crack. You're absolutely mad." But it actually works out really well. It's a really cool multi-class. You could just do straight light 12, but this is a little bit more fun and spicy. So thanks, Vexed Embers. Appreciate you. So here we are in the Creche. This is a late Act 1 fight. There's a bit of a fight here, so we've got a number of enemies that are stacked on top of each other, which is perfect for this. A full martial team with a blaster in melee. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-pop my Spirit Guardians with Radiant. I'm then going to go into Stealth, and I'm going to creep forward a little bit, and I'm going to try and fireball this stack here. And then I'm going to step in. What that's allowed me to do is I've got some little bit of damage off here. These are pretty damaged, so these youths are pretty much dead. And I'm going to with my paladin show step in and finish some of them off. Because I've got a surprise round. Or I'll just finish one off. Charge my barbarian in. And I'll finish this guy off. No, I'll finish him off. You gotta love it. So what I'm probably going to do is Misty Step my fighter in. What I really want is then, I want to pull enemies into the middle if I can. So by all being stacked in there, I encourage them to come in. I'm going to click heals for my boots. And I'm with my Spirit Guardians going to go charging in. I've already killed another one. And with that, what I'll do is I'll skip these turns. I'll just stack up in the middle and I'll give them an opportunity to run in. Oh, I'll lose my rage. But what I'll do is I'll give them a chance to run in and to try and make advantage of the Spirit Guardians and Sculpt spells. I'm going to try and take out this guy. And I can make it back in the middle, thanks to my click heals. They should all come running to me now. Little do they know this is exactly where I want them. If I start to take damage with my Ancient's Paladin, I can Healing Radiance. I'll skip this turn, and then on my Cleric's turn in a second. So as you can see, that Spirit Guardians did a ton of damage, and I haven't even moved yet. And what I can do is I can drop a Fireball on my head in melee. It's a bit of a flashbang in there, but you can see the circle. It's got little arrows underneath each of the enemies and none of the allies, thanks to Sculpt spells, and I can just go. I mean, Fireball is just great fun. I have wrecked their days. If you really want to just ruin everyone's day, what you can do is take a health potion. Sorry, speed potion. So that's my Fireball. You know, I don't think I would have cast another Fireball. I saved my spell slot, but I'll pop my Channel Divinity. I'm gonna make sure he gets hit. As you can see, really fun build that we worked up on the Discord with the Baldur's Gate 3 builds community, and it absolutely shreds. And it only gets better. It does take a little while to cook. It's a bit of a slow goer. Cleric always is lower levels. Most spellcasters are in this game, but it's really good fun, and I highly recommend checking it out. I think that's going to about do it for my builds today. I hope you guys enjoyed. I certainly did. I think this is probably one of the best builds we've come out with that just doesn't sound like it should work, but it definitely does. Thanks to a few really nice items and a bit of clever leveling. If you enjoyed, guys, please hit the like button, leave me a comment maybe if you want to see some more, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.